Hi, everybody. It's me, Jessica, your health fitness program manager from McLean, and I'm here today to guide you through your core and stretch class. We're going to get started right here on the floor in a comfortable seated position of your choice. Maybe that's kneeling, maybe that's cross-legged, maybe that's sitting with your legs open, nice and wide. I do encourage you to have some weights nearby and to think about keeping them light today. I'm going to pull out some 3 pound weights, uh, some 5 pound weights as well. Because we're going to do some balance from the floor on our sit bone. Just checking in on everything on the interwebs. Grab some water for yourself. If you want to turn some music on to help you stay motivated, I'm going to quickly bribe the bird as they'll meet down here. But you are not afraid of group exercise. Just reminds me one of my favorite Starbucks memories ever. Well, let's get in the seat position. I was working at a store in Santa Monica, California, and this family came in, and I think that the mom said something like, "What do you say?" at the bar handoff. And the kid said, "Give it to me!" No matter what, the kid definitely screamed, "Give it to me." And I remember thinking, oh my God, if I was a parent, I would not allow this child to have that. So we've made it down to the floor in a comfortable seated position, and hopefully you've had a moment or breath or two to adjust while you're down here. If you find that your knees are really creeping up towards your shoulders, as always, I encourage you to sit yourself up on a block or separate your feet out a little bit. You can extend them nice and wide for the next couple of stretches that we're going to do. Whatever position you went for, go ahead, ground through your sit bones, start to draw your core in. Notice if you've got a lot of arching through your back and work to start to create a stack. Really stretch up from the crown of your head. You can have your hands on your knees or maybe hands on the floor right by your hips. Knit your rib cage in so there's a little bit of engagement right at the center of your chest. Chest is nice and open. Shoulder blades are squeezed towards each other. Take a deep inhale. Look up towards the ceiling. Take the full length of your breath, full inhale while you look up, and then exhale the whole time that it takes you to exhale. So as your chin comes to your chest, your lungs are empty. Let's try to keep things nice and slow on a 5 count. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lungs full. Exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lungs empty. Keep that belly in. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take a moment. Lungs full. Stay lifted. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Chin to chest. Now your lungs are empty. 3 more. Inhale. Take that stretch. Find your lift. Start your exhale nice and slow. Inhale. Exhale. Really work to keep your shoulders away from your ears. We got one more breath as slow as you can. Inhale, take your time. Maybe you take a little bit more than 5 seconds this time to really lift up, reach up, feel the stretch on your throat. Exhale. Take a moment with those lungs all the way empty. Awesome. Lift your chin from your chest. Inhale, sweep your arms up overhead. Make sure shoulders didn't just creep up towards your ears. So re-engage through your upper back. Take that lift of your chest and pull your belly in. So we got rid of any extra rounding in the low back. Great. Relax your right hand down towards the floor. Big inhale up through the left side of the body. And as you exhale, oh my God, cough or reach all the way over towards the right side. Use your inhale to lift yourself up. Both arms come up. Exhale, left hand comes down towards the floor. Take just a moment. We're moving nice and slow. Inhale, find the big reach and lift from your waist like you're trying to touch the ceiling, like there's money hanging from the ceiling. And exhale, find that big stretch. It's really funny how much I find some money comes up in the idea of yoga. Inhale, lift yourself up. One more time, each side. Keep that belly pulled in as tight as possible. Exhale, right hand down. Start to apply some pressure onto the floor. Inhale, lift up from your waist. Really reach and try and touch the ceiling. And exhale, find that big side bend, maybe a little bit deeper than last time. Keep your left sit bone down on the floor. Inhale, lift yourself up. Exhale, left hand down, still taking your time moving through the whole breath. Inhale, reach all the way up towards the ceiling. Exhale, find your side bend, nice and long and slow. On your inhale, lift yourself all the way up once more. And exhale, just rain your fingers down to the floor. Actually, let's bring them to our knees, unless your legs are separate, and then the floor. All right, we're going to give ourselves a little cat cow right here from your comfortable seated position. So apply a little bit of pressure into your hands, palms to create as much rounding of the back as possible. And then leading with your chest, pulling yourself all the way forward. Chest comes forward, biceps, triceps. So a little bit different than if we're on the floor because it feels so nice when we're on the floor to really lead with your glutes, with your hips to create the motion. But this time just focusing a bit more on getting that flexion through your upper back. So really feel free to use your hands on your knees to create a little bit of support right here. Let's do it one more time. Or if you're moving at a different pace, go ahead and do three more so that you're just finishing in the opposite direction that you started from. Great. If you want to change your seated position, we're going to come into all four in just a moment. But for now, just start to take some circles with your wrist in one direction, in the opposite direction. Maybe a quick crack of the knuckles if that's something that you like to do, opening, closing of the fist, even making fists or making some fun waves with your arms. We just want to start to warm up the hands a little bit more, really relax through the shoulders. Maybe wave at your imaginary friends. Okay, great. So let's go ahead, come on into tabletop and continue a bit more with a nice wrist warm up. So open your hands, spread your fingers nice and wide and come into a neutral tabletop. So make sure there's no extra rounding or tucking of the low back. And maybe you need to give yourself a quick round and tuck to notice what a flat back is. Make sure you're not sinking into your shoulders. So really push your hands, palms into the floor. Elbow creases shining towards each other. Awesome. From here, we're just gonna exhale and bring the weight a little bit further forward. So shoulders start to come forward of your fingertips. Make sure that you didn't sink into your shoulders while that happened. Keep your core pulled in nice and tight. And as you change your breath, you can stretch your glutes all the way back towards your hips. Maybe fully take any sort of compression out of your wrists. Let's inhale and go forward. Maybe it feels better to exhale and go forward. Basically, I'm just saying don't hold your breath. I was in a yoga class the other day, and it was an amazing class, but the instructor guided her breath completely differently than where I was at. And every time she said inhale, I was prepared for an exhale, and it just made me so tense. Ugh. So I don't want to make you feel tense. Just make sure that you're moving with your breath. Let's get about two more of these. In this direction. And this time, as glutes come back to heels, maybe you come into kneeling. If kneeling is really hard, you can even stand up on your knees. Go ahead, shake those wrists out one more time. Let's take an active stretch once again. So similar to what we were just doing, go ahead, press your hand palm forward, and I want you to engage through your back. So there's no rounding through the back here. Squeeze shoulder blades towards each other. A big lift of the chest to draw in from the core. So we're working the core while we're also just stretching the wrist a little bit, pulling back on your open hand palm. And then let's switch opposite side. Fingers pointing up towards the ceiling, still engaging through the back, still trying to take any extra rounding out of the low back. So we've got a big stack. We're already being so mindful of our bodies today. And then release. All right, this time we're going to bring the back of the hands down towards the floor. Fingers are pointing towards your knees. And then same thing, we're going to exhale. You're going to press the back of your hands to the floor, really feel that stretch as glutes come towards your heels. And inhale makes it a little bit easier as you lift yourself up. And you can be applying as much pressure into your hands here as feels good for you. So maybe you're already using your abs a little bit more in this forward hinge so that you're not applying and dumping too much pressure into your hands' palms. Let's get two more in this direction, and then we'll take this same stretch from sitting. All right. So lift yourself back up, take your wrists out for just a second. Oh, they're feeling nice and juicy. And this time, fingers pointing down towards the floor. Engage through your upper back, pull your belly in, make sure there's no extra rounding through your low spine. Fingers point down towards the floor, and you apply pressure on the back. Just keep your chin neutral to your chest right now. One more big breath here, and then other hand. So we just found two different ways to create the same type of stretch in our hands. So next time, if one worked for you and the other didn't, you got some options. All right. So I just wanted to warm those hands up because we're going to start off with a plank. I'm suggesting that we start with a straight arm plank, but if you need to do a forearm plank, that's absolutely fine. We are going to get some forearm planks in, so I was being creative. If you're not ready for a full plank, maybe you just step your knees back and then shift the weight forward so that your hands, palms are still under chest. You can have your legs up, you can have your toes down, or you can lift yourself all the way into the plank. If you need to take a break, I want you to think about maybe pressing yourself up for some active recovery into down dog. And it doesn't have to be a perfect down dog, and you can have a really generous bend of your knees, and you're still in down dog. You're getting a nice stretch into that upper mid back area into your shoulders instead of just releasing yourself onto the floor. But if you need to just release yourself to the floor, that's okay too. You're here to do what you can to make a difference. We are building strength day by day, moment by moment. All right, we got 11 different modes. So just over 10 minutes of work, but it's not really 10 minutes of work because you got 40 seconds of active movement, 20 seconds of recovery. I'm going to tell you what's coming next. So shake it out. Let's get ready because we want some time to stretch at the end. 40 seconds of plank. We're here to just do our best in 3, 2, 1. Begin. So step those legs back. As you step back into plank, take a moment to once again shift your weight forward. Keep your eye gaze forward. Keep that upper back engaged and your belly pulled in. If you're feeling real wobbly, you might want to even open your legs. And remember, if you find you need a break, you're going to think about sending your hips up towards the sky so that you can come back into your plank as quickly as possible. And you're still getting some great work, even if you're shifting from down dog to plank like every 2 seconds. And you're definitely getting more work than if you just put your knees down on the floor. All right, guess what? We made it. Round one is done. Next up, we're going to go for a forearm plank. So bringing forearms down to the ground. You can still do this with knees bent if you want or need to. And we're going to alternate with lifting up one leg and then the other. You don't have to lift it super high. You can just squeeze your glute and lift your heel off the floor. Let's get started. So keep your eye gaze forward. I think this one helps. So walk your feet in a little bit more towards the center. And just like before, if you need a break, you can send your hips up, take a little bit of dolphin, a nice little stretch into the shoulders. And then as you're ready, shift forward one more time. And you're squeezing your glute to lift your leg up. You're trying not to just kick your foot up off of the floor. So before you lift one leg up, you really have to engage through the opposite side leg to prepare yourself. Guess what? We made it. I know, pretty awesome. All right, next up, we've got bear. Still encouraging you to come into down dog if you need a break instead of just bringing your feet to the floor. So from tabletop, toes are going to tuck under. We're going to hover knees as close to the mat as you want. Begin. And remember, if you need a break, you're just going to send your hips up towards the sky and then carefully, slowly release yourself back towards this bear. Try to keep the weight shifted forward too, just like in the plank. Hands, palms are right underneath of your chest and shoulders. Woo! But you're going to feel this one a lot in those legs too. Someone that I was training the other day asked me, do I have to say, woo? And I said, no, but I think it helps. We're almost there. Yes. All right. One last plank. But I can't lie, we're doing it twice because it's a side plank. All right. So rolling over onto your side, bringing your forearm down towards the ground, coming back to the forearm planks. You can keep your knees bent and lift yourself up and come right here. Maybe you straighten your top leg out. Maybe you bring, your top leg forward and straighten your bottom leg out. Let's get right into it. Find something that works for you. Keep a long, straight line through your spine. So try not to let your head sink down towards the floor. Keep your head level with your spine right here. We are almost there. We are flying through this core work. We have a lot of chest, shoulder, upper back working right here in the first section. Guess what? This side's done. Switch to the other side. After we finish the second side plank, we're going to focus a little bit more on just the abs, which you've already warmed up so well in these planks. Planks are one of the best ab and total body exercises that you can do. And the best part, no equipment needed. Begin. Good. So once again, really think about your form here. Elbow is as stacked under your shoulder as possible. And you're opening up through the other side of the body too, reaching all the way up towards the ceiling. I like to think that tighter is lighter. So bring all 5 of your fingers towards each other and find as straight a line as you can create with your head. So no heads tilting down towards the floor. My head wasn't tilting down. I was checking the timer. We are almost there. We made it. Great. Grab hold of your weights. We've got a dead bug coming up next. You can use a slightly heavier weight for this dead bug. So coming into reverse tabletop, we're going to alternate arm and leg moving. You can straighten your legs all the way out, begin, or you can keep your legs nice and bent. If holding on to weights does not work for you today, try this same motion without any weight in your hands. Move an opposite arm and opposite leg, and we're keeping low backs glued down towards the floor. So you can even make this more challenging in our last 15 seconds by bringing your knees a little further from the center line of the body and keeping them there instead of bringing knees to stack right on top of your hips. Great. Okay, next up, we've got Russian twists. You have a couple different options for your Russian twist. You can keep your feet on the floor, or you can challenge yourself to have these legs lifted. I'm going to grab a lighter weight and either go for a nice big overhead twist, or we're coming to center, giving ourselves a press up, and then twisting to the side. Go ahead, get started with any of those. Maybe you're just focusing on lifting your legs and doing a traditional low Russian twist, because getting his legs lifted off the floor is challenging too. If you lifted your legs and you found that your back was really rounding, bring your legs back to the floor. You can do these same moves with your feet on the floor and a nice long straight spine. A reminder that the weight in your hands, take a break, is optional for all of the following moves. All right. Next up, we've got a lemon curl. Oh my gosh, we're almost done with the circuit. I'm sad. All right, so easier option is with hands behind you. Hands stay on the floor as you bring your knees towards your chest and then send legs out in front of you. Let's do it. We are working towards right now. A harder option is obviously without hands on the floor. I'm going to treat myself to hands on the floor because we're working towards a harder move where we're basically putting the last two options together. 10 seconds left, and we get a nice 20-second break. 3, 2, 1. Great. So, just in case you were letting momentum do the work for the last two moves, for this next move, feet are going to be off of the floor. Hands can be overhead or right here at your chest. We're going to give 4 pulses of knees coming in towards chest. Oh, here we go. All right, so 4 pulses, knees coming in towards chest, and then 4 times reach those arms up overhead. If you find that your back is really starting to round here, go ahead, place your feet on the floor while you take these 4 big wide reaches up overhead. We're only doing this one time. This is a very small movement of knees coming in towards your chest. Woo! Yes, it does feel better. Like I said, make that noise. 5 seconds left. Can you finish it out real strong with me here right now? Great. Lower yourself all the way down towards the floor. Because I am a nice lady, we get to lay down for a moment. Go ahead, extend your right leg up towards the ceiling. Left heel close by your glutes. Arms relaxed down by your side. We got single leg glute bridges to finish us off. Let's do it. So press yourself up and then slowly lower yourself down. Really focus on this slow and controlled lower, but as soon as you start to touch the floor, press yourself right back up towards the ceiling. Hands down by your side. It's going to make it a little bit easier. Arms stretch up towards the ceiling. It's going to make it a little bit harder. And of course, you could always hold on to weights here if you want to. I don't want to. We've got less than 10 seconds to go, and then we get to stretch some more. How great does that sound? Take a moment, relax, maybe windshield wipe through your legs. Woo, my quads are feeling some of that work today. They got involved in our core work today. All right, right Leg stays planted. Inhale, left leg up towards the ceiling, arms by your side. You ready? Open your chest. Keep the shoulders on the floor, even keeping the upper back towards the mat. So we're not trying to come into a shoulder bridge. It's like a hip thrust, basically. Ooh. It's normal if one side feels a little bit more tired. We fired these glutes up a little bit already during those planks when you were really using your abs for balance. Now we're starting to use the core a little bit more for that control as we lower down, but challenging ourselves to lift. Oh, we made it right back up. We made it. Go ahead, draw your knees in towards your chest. You can keep your feet separate. You can keep your knees separate. Stretch your elbows towards your hips. Keep the back of your head on the floor, but give yourself a little tuck of your chin to your chest to try and get as much of the back of your neck on the floor. Open your chest, bring more of your shoulders down towards the mat. Take one more big inhale, long and slow. And on your exhale, release your hands from your legs. Go ahead, bring the soles of the feet back down towards the floor. Feet open, nice and wide. Mats width distance apart. Start to take a nice slow windshield wipe of your knees side to side. Maybe making that windshield wipe a little bit wider each time because we're going to come into a spine twist. Nice, really wide open leg spine twist for my dears. If you need to also roll any of your accoutrements out of the way, now's the time. Start to stretch your arms out to the side, and then as you're ready, just drop to the sides of your feet. A little bit more of a stretch through the lower half of the body, through the hip, a little into the quad, a little love to the glute, inner thigh. Those were all working today, doing some of those plank moves that we had going. Keep slowing your exhale down. Make it a little bit longer than your inhale to really relax your heart rate. On your next inhale, bring your knees back up to center and then over to the other side, just rolling right into the opposite side twist. Stretch your knee down towards the floor. Great. Inhale your knees back to center. Let's rock ourselves up. Why, I think we'll come to standing together. All right, so go ahead, roll over into tabletop. Give yourself a couple of cat cows again. Let's take a nice stretch through the shoulders before we stand up. So bring your toes together. Knees can open wide if you want. Sink your glutes back towards your heels and walk your hands as far forward as feels good for you. Begin to rest your head down towards the floor. Remember, you can be more active with the stretching your shoulders by tenting your fingers and really starting to reach your glutes towards your heels. You can be more passive by starting to bring a generous bend towards your elbow, maybe even more generous, maybe even hands relaxed all the way back towards your heels, which can be a great way to stretch out your upper back. So if you notice your upper back has been really tired, maybe try this tadpole stretch instead of child's pose. Take 2 more breaths wherever you are. And then go ahead, bring your hands, palms underneath of your chest, shoulders. Press yourself up, through tabletop. Tuck your toes under, send your hips up towards the ceiling. Take a nice pedal through down dog. You can really generously bend your knees, working to get your belly towards your thighs for as much length in your back as you can get. So once again, we're stretching the shoulders here while we're also probably more likely noticing the big stretch in your calves. When you're ready, walk your hands to your feet or your feet to your hands. Stay in this dangle, really bending from the hips, belly towards thighs. You can grab hold of your opposite elbow, or if you prefer, you can place your hands on your legs for a little bit more support. Take a moment, shake your head, yes. Shake your head, no. Shift the weight into your heels. Take a rounding of your back as you roll yourself up one vertebrae at a time. Press through your heels, squeeze your glutes, hips drive forward, chest starts to open, shoulder blades squeeze together. Inhale, arms all the way up overhead. Exhale, relax arms down by your side. Go ahead, take one more big, deep breath. Inhale, arms all the way up overhead. Hands palms together. Exhale, bring your hands down to heart center. Stretch your elbows towards the floor. Squeeze your glutes, hips forward. Take a moment to think of one thing that you're proud of yourself for that you've already done today, be it coming to this class or something else. One more time. Inhale your arms all the way up overhead. And exhale, relax your arms down by your side. Great. Treat yourself to some water right now. I hope you had a wonderful time. I know I feel so much better finding this gentle movement and some serious engagement through the core and chest. It was so hard when it was happening. And now that it's over, I feel nothing but great. And I hope you feel the same. We'll look forward to seeing you again later this week for a brand new yin class. Till then, have a wonderful rest of your day.